Hey, good morning. Welcome to Office Hours, Korean Natural Farming. Yeah, happy Sunday, KNF family. Family and friends, enemies, everybody's welcome today. Sorry, I'm kind of banging this thing around. I'm just trying to adjust this for 1 sec. Get rid of this filter because it's in my way. But yeah. Hey, so welcome to Korean Natural Farming Office Hours. We got a special episode for you today. But before we dive into that, just sound check. Everyone's all coming through. I hope it's lost one of my monitors, but that's okay. So we're going to start with a bit of higher wisdom here. So today is the return. So, let's start with a time of darkness comes to a close. So receiving this hexagram is a sign that you have reached a turning point. This moment is akin to the winter solstice. The greatest adversity is past, and the light is beginning to return. Nonetheless, one cannot force the completion of a change, and it is wise to rest. Act only when you can move gently and innocently, and all will be well. Fu, that's the name of this thing, also comes as a reminder to return to the light in yourself. Growth is only possible when we relinquish the expression of the ego, which is pride, impatience, anger, and desire. To act forcefully or ambitiously now will only generate misfortune. Let things develop naturally in their own way. Simply observe and accept changes as you observe and accept the rising of the sun. Allow yourself to rest and to gather strength for the time of growth ahead. By holding to modesty, gentleness, and correct conduct, you prepare the ground for a fruitful blossoming when the light fully returns. So I definitely feel some resonance on that one. Returning, kind of finishing up a week-long Korean natural farming course here. It's been a heck of a week, I tell you. This week also, in addition to teaching Korean natural farming, had my pump that supplies all the water to this place break, go out of service. Had to go in the middle of the class, fix that. Also, we welcomed a new baby cow into the pasture. Our cow Julie, big Guernsey cow, gave birth, and so first time dairy cow birth on the farm, and she gave birth to a girl, which is pretty awesome. Which means maybe the steak's got to wait a little bit longer, but at least now more dairy in our future, which is good. And it turns out her father was my neighbor's bull who jumped over the fence because she came out black and white. Super cute cow. I do got a pic, I think. Do I got a pic? I definitely got a video. But let me see here if I got a picture. But she, it's been a challenge milking with her because here's a little picture. Baby cow. Standing next to her mom there. See if the camera will refocus, maybe. Yeah. But it's been an interesting thing getting. At first we thought she had mastitis because the teats were so hard. And so we're trying to get the milking machine on there. The teats were just so hard they wouldn't even fit on. So, and all the colostrum coming out. So my wife's been hand milking a little bit, and we've been using the machine a bit and learning we built a baby pen, how to keep the baby off and then put the baby on at the right times so that we're taming the cow as well, the new cow, as part of an activity. But she's a Holstein with a Guernsey mom, so should be really good dairy genetics for us. Really looking forward to raising another dairy cow, increasing my herd. One of the benefits of having the dairy cow is that more curds, more whey, more, it's more yogurt for us. And it's more milk. I love milk. And any excess curds is more food for the pigs. Also this week, was, speaking of just a wild week, in the midst of the class, I go to pick up the pig food from a distributor. They give me their excess bread, milk, eggs, cracked or broken or expired, and got 0. So, just a heck of a week. So I'm glad here coming around, getting return, feeling like, this goodness coming to a close here. We are in the last day of our course. And so, I've also, in addition to all that, been up every night turning the IMO pile at 10 o'clock at night, making sure it stays just sweet and everything. It's been just really, really a good thing. But also, talk about intensive training and just like thorough and comprehensive and going through it all. But before I get too much into that, we'll just, welcome some folks here. We got Stonemason in the house. We got Goofman. Always good to see you. Joe from New York. We got Rainbow Possum up in Washington State. Yo, hey. We got Mark in the house. Always good to have him. It's Ambruster Throckmorton. That's the name, because I was trying to remember it the other day. There's another student here, Steve, and I was telling him about how, Mark and I built this wall, and we really, in 2020, January 2020, really improved the farm and the learning center and everything, and just so thankful for that. Every student that comes through makes a contribution somehow, whether physically, ideologically, spiritually. It's just, I'm so grateful to be a teacher where people come from all over the world and can interface here and learn natural farming, go home with something more, and leave, great things here behind. And so with that, I wanted to introduce this wonderful person here to my right. I guess your left. I don't know. Maybe it's your right too. But this is Bird on the KNF office hours. That's what she's known as. But I'll let her introduce herself a little bit here.
Aloha. Good morning, KNF family. I'm Drake's mom. My name's Jennifer. And I had the amazing experience of doing Drake's class this week. I did it about, 7 or 8 years ago. And I got to find out how much I don't know, how much I can improve. I got all my questions answered, and it was just fantastic. And I'm so inspired to apply what I learned. I'm grateful to Drake for everything that I learned from you. Yeah.
And this course too, I think, we're going through everything hands-on, right?
Yeah.
And has that been helpful for you? Because you've made some of these solutions before,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually, I never have done the NFStructure. It's just a little too scary. The fire is a little too scary for me. I've never done that, but I did it with Drake and in the class. So that was good. And I never have succeeded in making IMO. I have gotten it way too hot, way too smelly. So this time I had the job the first thing in the morning at 6 a.m. of turning the pile and watching it and smelling it and feeling it. And I am so stoked because we totally succeeded. We also succeeded in our collection. I've never succeeded with that either. So now I feel a little more confident that I can do it and I want to do it. And in fact, I'm going to take this and teach elsewhere. I work at an addiction center. I teach yoga there. And I'm going to start to teach a gardening session there once a week, which I'm really looking forward to. Now I feel like I know what I can talk about. So more confidence. Yeah, so I had made a lot of the solutions, but to see the doing it with Drake and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Sorry.
I'm just going to tilt that right towards.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, anybody.
No, you're
Okay.
good. You're good. I can hear you well. But if you talk directly into this like an ice cream cone. It's
okay.
Yeah, there. Yeah,
All right.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because of doing it hands-on, methodically, step by step, you see how it all integrates, how it all fits together. And I've never done so much so fast, exhausting in a way. And at the same time, going over, reviewing every single day, I feel really good. So thank you.
Yeah, and so here I'm gonna turn my mic up a little bit. I think just let me know what sound levels you guys, because we're kind of got two mics and I don't want it to echo. So if it's echoing, let me know as well. But I one of the interesting things that I thought in this class, I mean, because this just happened, there's been so many interesting things, but just the other day, we were tasting the CalPhos, the structure. So can you tell a little bit about what happened with that?
Yeah. So first of all, I had never tasted it before. And so I went, whoa. I mean, my whole mouth just exploded. We tasted a batch that Drake had made a while ago, which was a good batch. And then we tasted one that one of the graduates from Drake's class had made that he had given me some. And that was also really, really good. And then we tasted a batch that I made with someone else a while ago, and it was vinegar. It tasted really bad. And I said, okay, well, now I know how it's supposed to taste. And that was amazing to see how different places in your tongue where you can taste not only the actual taste, but the feeling of it, the texture, the chalky, that kind of thing in your mouth too was interesting. Comparing that was very eye-opening. Yeah.
And tongue expanding.
Yes, and kind of, wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I find, and I think Steve here also appreciated that, I mean, he's come all the way from Australia up here. I think he's my furthest away student yet. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I have to double check on that. But he's been practicing a bit. But what he's been able to get here now this week is been the validation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And did he, I mean, you see, like, what do you think of, we'll just, because he didn't want to, he's at the beach right now, which is probably a good choice. I mean,
it's his first time off the farm in the whole week. So he's like, beach? Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, he did go to the farmer's market with you, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you like? Let's just pretend like we're him. And what do you think his experience has been?
I think he has hope. I think that's the biggest thing. He has 5 acres. Is that right?
He has actually like 2. He has like an orchard and he has another place, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, but he has significant acreage size.
Yeah.
And the scope of trying to regenerate that. He talked a lot about his compaction and things, that he inherited this. He bought it, but he came upon this land that is far less than ideal. And he had been starting to do the pure KNF and had some success for sure. But now now he knows really how to do it and the process of all of it. And he has also the confidence to make the liquid, even IMO. That's one thing that he really learned how to do too. He was really excited about that, to be able to apply that on his farm. He has an orchard of pears and apples. Mm-hmm. And also, it was amazing to hear how expensive ginger is for him to make the medicine. I was so shocked. You guys, it's like $90 for 2 kilos. Is that right? $90. It's insane. So I had a great idea. I said, why don't you start growing ginger? And we talked about how he can do that in Australia. And, here we go. Maybe that'll be a great crop for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in, from what I understand, like southern Australia, near Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, you got to say it the right way, because Americans say Melbourne, but Melbourne. Yeah, it's interesting. And so he's also near the ocean, but he's more temperate. He said, an analog for where he's at is more Pacific Northwest. So for me, because I'm more familiar with that region in the States here. But yeah, he so one of the first things he told me, he was like, we got this clay, this compaction, and he put the liquid IMOs out, and then all of a sudden he's seeing mushroom fruiting bodies around his root zone.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that being, just like, it's like, okay, you do natural farming. How do you know it's working? Mm-hmm. Right. This is an open question of, and because you can analyze it so many ways. You can scientifically go in. You can do a microscopic analysis. You can, look at are your plants tasting better? Are they bigger? There's so many different ways to analyze this, but seeing the mushroom, seeing a soil come to life, mm-hmm. is a sign of like, okay, like I didn't see that before. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so for you, in your applications, you're largely growing in more of raised bed type application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what do you see when you're doing natural farming versus when you're not?
Well, when I'm not is when I'm not doing it often enough, because that's the only thing I do is natural farming, but I'm not as consistent as I could be, which I really understand the importance of that. And what I really learned was that I need to alternate my application of solutions much more so, be more in tune with my plants. I had been a little lazy and just kind of putting the maintenance out there pretty faithfully and a little bit of fuel here and there, and not really getting the calcium in there, and realizing now, oh my gosh, I grow okay, but it could be so much better. So that's the inspiration that I have. We also have a hoop house with tomatoes, and I learned that I can make the food with the tips, the growing tips, the suckers that you're going to pop off anyway on the tomatoes. I'm excited to apply that as a food, and also that I can use unripe tomatoes during the reproduction phase. During that time, that would be the food that I would apply at that time. And then ripe tomatoes later for other times. And I thought, oh my gosh, that sounds so exciting. I just want to try and grow the very, very best. It'll be fun.
And so, yeah, we went a fair amount over the nutrient cycle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you're talking about, kind of eye-opening for your practice, you've been using a lot of maintenance in, just in general, like pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. But then when we went over nutrient cycle, you kind of saw more about this oscillation, and then kind of the like chubby skinny, and just more like is it fair to say that your understanding got a bit more broad of understanding like how more to alternate these solutions?
Yeah, it's very fair to say that. And also to tune my eyes, that I have to really be looking at my plants and anticipate it. No, I have a lot to learn that way to hone my eyes. But I have hope.
Yeah, and you've been growing amazing beans.
French beans and lettuces and greens, all kinds of greens and beets. And those have been the French beans. I mean, oh my gosh, I just love those. So, and I know that I can do that better than I've done. So, and the tomatoes, and that's going to be my next big project. It's a big greenhouse, so I'm excited.
And I'm also excited to kind of, now that you've refreshed, taken this class, really gotten back into it. I'm also excited to kind of follow up with you. I mean, it's easy because you live here, but to follow up with you to really solve the nematode issue, because that was actually one of the first things we talked about in this class, and you asked, how do I get rid of these nematodes? But so looking at this now, what would you say a little bit more about, like, how you learn more about the nematodes, or in solving this problem? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what I learned about that, and it was the first day, and that was my first burning question, was, why do you want to get rid of them? You just want to balance them. And then I was like, oh, okay. I'm coming from some kind of old school of, not that I would use a pesticide or a fungicide or a nemicide or some kind of side. I wouldn't do that. But, what can I do from natural farming? And now what I understand is, as long as everybody has what they need, everybody will get along just fine. There won't be too much of anything. There will be the balance. And so I have not been providing a balanced for them to be balanced. So that's up to me, and I'll give it a shot.
And we also, we talked about the 4 different types of nematodes. Do a little review here. Which were those?
Oh no, do I have to name them? Oh no, not good.
Well, so we got the bacterial feeders, right?
Yeah, and then there's fungals.
Fungal feeders.
That's a good guess.
No, and then the one that's causing you issue?
Root
feeders.
Yes.
And what are we kind of missing in there to balance the nematodes? It's the 4th one.
I don't remember.
It's the predatory nematodes.
Oh, okay. The predatory ones there's not enough of them.
Yeah, and they're much larger, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in terms of getting the nematodes, what were the predatory nematodes' favorite food?
Oh my gosh, this was the first day, and it's 6 days later. I have notes. I wrote down notes. Their favorite food. I know, it's the bad guys.
It's the root feeders, right?
Right. It is the bad guys. Oh, good. I did remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, the class is a lot to remember. It's a lot. It's intense.
Thank God I took notes.
Yeah. And also KNF support, but so the idea is with your soil, I think, as we can, now that we have really good IMO, we'll make it into IMO4. We only finished 3 in this class. But then we can top dress with that. We can bring in those and make the environment more, I want to say applicable, but it's not, like more hospitable. It's a better word for these predatory nematodes. And then they'll have all the food they need to eat, which is all these root feeders. And then that will, again, like you're saying, bring it back into balance. Right. And maybe right now it's out of balance a little bit because of certain factors of the way the beds are, these things, but that mainly the predatory nematodes are not growing in large enough numbers to keep the root feeders in balance. And in terms of the nematodes, you've also tried planting some plants to keep them back. What was that, and how effective was that?
I planted marigolds, lots of them. It made it beautiful, but how effective, I can't really say. I mean, I still have some nematodes, so that did not bring it into balance, is what I would say. But I didn't really do an experiment like how close to the marigolds. Maybe there were no nematodes really close to the roots of that plant. I'm not sure. So.
And it'd be cool to do a bit of soil analysis to pull some of that out, put it under the microscope, see the nematodes, especially if you pull the soil that's right where you pull up the roots and the roots are all gnarled up and like that. And we could see those nematodes. I mean, it's obvious they're there.
Yeah, it is.
And so then, back to nutrient cycle, you mentioned something interesting to me the other day. How's your arm's getting tired?
My arm's getting tired.
Yeah, it's okay. She doesn't have a mic stand. I do. So you mentioned, so we were talking a little bit about my dad's tomatoes. Do you want to go a little bit into that of what we're kind of contemplating here?
Sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first year that we grew tomatoes, I say we, it was mostly my husband, but I'm there cheerleading him. He put a fish head under each tomato plant, one fish head, probably about a foot down, something like that. And we had incredible production, 300 or 400 pounds. I mean, just amazing and beautiful tomatoes. Everything was fantastic. So, the American way, more must be better. So this year, he decided to dig a trough and fill it with fish waste, a whole trough, and then plant the tomatoes on top of that. We have a couple of rows in the greenhouse with a path in the center. Guess what? I think we got maybe 8 tomatoes. I mean, it just was this green jungle. So bad. It was a great experiment. But a little too much nitrogen, a little too much fuel, if you will. And, I just think it was just so way out of whack balance. The plants were just, there was not going to be a tomato. It just that wasn't the info it was getting at all.
Yeah. So when we were talking about that, the nitrogen provided a bunch of this above ground growth, but what did we, say was happening with the roots below?
They weren't good. They weren't solid. They were looking for something, but couldn't find it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And they didn't have, Steve was talking about this, like they didn't have many, connections.
Right.
With the soil biology.
Right.
And you remember what he was saying about the importance of those connections?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, if they are reaching out and there's nothing there for them, then they can't do their job. The roots can't do their job. That's what I understand. Yeah,
and the roots don't make these mycelial connections, and then later in its growth, it's like, well, I need some phosphorus or some potassium, or and Steve mentions it needs maybe some zinc.
That's right. Right, these little microelements, and it's not able to get them, and so it just stays a green forest.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
because it's not getting what it needs. Once again, the balance.
It's kind of like we like a spoiled child.
Oh yeah, that's what Drake was talking about. A spoiled kid that had everything handed to them.
and then later they get in life and
right.
they don't have, quality friends to trade with. They don't have life skills. They didn't
no skills, yeah.
Make the connections.
Right. Yeah, they didn't develop that because they didn't have to. And so you have to provide an environment where the plant has to develop its network, it's through its roots, to be able to then take care of itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're, seeing that nutrient cycle in action, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
you know, you s- so next year, going at it, doing
Mm-hmm.
it again, you know, you maybe you can not only be the cheerleader but also the cheer coach.
Yes, I will be. Yeah, I will.
We'll see how well that goes over.
Keep track of all of it, and yeah.
But yeah, working together, growing these produce, it's pretty rewarding, right?
Oh, it is. We have a whole freezer full of marinara and we make amazing salsas. And, it's nice to have to give away. People really appreciate good tomatoes. And I mean, it's a great way to make friends. But stay tuned, everybody. I'll let you know one way or the other. But I really do think I know. I feel now that I have the knowledge to be successful. I'm looking forward to it.
So let's talk a little bit more about, other major highlights for this class.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit in the beginning about having success with the IMO and really seeing the difference, how it changed throughout the process. That was one of them. Oh, gosh, there were so many. I mean, every day in review, one of the things Drake would ask us is, "Well, what are the 3 highlights from yesterday?" And I was like, "Oh, only 3?" I mean, there were so many. Let's see. Oh, the nutritive cycle. That was huge for me. In terms of, I feel that'll solve my deficiency in my gardening. I feel like that will take it up a notch. Gosh, what else? The tasting. We've kind of gone over it. I'm trying to think. The other things that we made. Oh, you know what we did? It was so cool. We made a food out of long gone and a food out of lime, like a huge 5-gallon bucket. Oh my goddess. It was so good. The taste, it's like unbelievably good. Just yummy, yummy. And we had extra with the ginger when we were making the medicine. So we made the one 1/2-gallon jar, 2/3, but then we had some extra. So we just made that into food as well. And I got to tell you, that will be the best stir fry sauce ever, ever. With that just so gingery and yummy with the sugar, of course. So, it was fun too. We had a lot of fun, doing our experiments, and we did different things that you have never done before, Drake, too. So I think that was fun for you too. Oh, the other thing that was really cool is we did 2 IMO piles. Mm-hmm. And so one we did, this was a total experiment, was taking some wood chips that had decomposed somewhat, putting in, are you ready? Macadamia nut butter that was given to Drake. I mean, just amazing macadamia nut butter. And then, not being sure if that was enough, we added a little bit of the fuel. Oh my goodness. It became a race car. I mean, that thing was so hot. It was so steaming. We had to turn it. It was a small pile too. But compared to the other one, yeah, it really heated up and it smelled so good. It still smells really good. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah. So, I wanted to try something new here. And so, putting those, so basically we used wood chips and mac nut waste, plus then the other soil, the IMO liquid solution into it.
That's right.
And one of the things I was anticipating the wood chips to be a bit more laggard in terms of heating up, but because the wood chips were quite already old, and decomposed, it's always an experiment trying new, what do I call it? Like,
Substrate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
New substrate material. And it was quite interesting to do a side by side trial and see what was the differences. Kind of the other one we used the mature horse feed, that do more senior horse feed. It's like standard what we've been using last couple of classes. Sometimes I also amend, the dog food and wood chips. And sometimes the dog food is a bit laggy because it's almost hydrophobic and oily when you first get it. I'm using pedigree, only the best dog food, right? Um, and and so each material has this different texture, and just the side by side of doing those, such differences. But then also the smells coming out, the clear certain biological activity. It seems like both are going to be just worked, right?
I would say so. Yeah, the other one was hotter. The other one was hotter, and we had to turn it more frequently, and sometimes even twice at a time to really get the temperature down. But I know both of them worked really well, and so that's interesting. I wonder what's the difference when you go to apply it into your on your farm, or the two different types of. Are the microorganisms that much different because of the substrate and all of that, or?
Well, that's actually an interesting question, and we're propagating this indigenous biology, and the seed IMO that we put in there, that collection we've had that was preserved in sugar, would predominantly grow out and kind of outcompete these other ones. Clearly in the decomposed wood chips, we're already getting an additional biology. But once the temperature rises, once those microbes go to work, how many of those become food for the biology we're growing? How many of them propagate throughout the pile? How many of those become diversity and interbreed with our new set? This is why we know very little about soil biology. Because the amount of variables, the amount of things, the amount of, if I measure it at this point, it's probably different 10 minutes from now. It's definitely different an hour. It's definitely different after the week. And for us, it's 1 week. But I reiterated it to you guys, for the microbes,
10,000 years.
It's 10,000 years. If you take our size in 1 week, and you scale our size down to the size of the microbe, like one micrometer, that then becomes 10,000 years, because space and time are interrelated. So as you scale down, time becomes larger. As you get bigger, time gets smaller. And so when we scale down, it's 10,000 years. So imagine you're trying to measure something over 10,000 years. It's like, for us, it's just a week. But 10,000 years, that means if you take a measurement, every minute or something, I'm not sure how many, what is 7 times whatever it is, but it's like you're measuring every 100 years or something, like, and it is just, so the science on this to get this, like, so you ask, what is the difference between the biology?
I see.
And it's like, man, it like, so instead of trying to be super precise in the science bit of it, we're more trying to do these macro measurements of known goodness. So I talked about, visual observation. So what are we looking for in the pile?
What are we looking for in the pile? What you say visually?
Yeah. I mean, at one point you saw the pile sort of change color.
Oh yeah, it got a little bit of gray in one part. It just this one little area, and Drake said possibly that one area got a little hot, and but it was more, for me, it was more a smell thing, and it smelled really good. Both of them smelled really good all throughout, more than visually. Oh, it also really, that's what it is. It's like became this really fine, almost sand, a little bit bigger than sand, but just really fine. It got easier and easier to turn the pile too as it got drier. Yeah. So.
And then that one morning we went to turn it, there was also like a layer at the bottom.
Oh, that's right.
That looked different, right?
Yeah. And that's where it was really hot at the bottom. That's the warmest part. So, yeah.
And that was also kind of that grayish color.
Yep.
And my suspicion on that is it's a ton of actinomycines, and those had overheated just a fair amount. So,
right.
So what was the solution?
Turn it.
Turn it, and then we also kind of moved it off that spot a little bit,
We
right?
got it away from that spot. Just let those guys be by themselves. Sorry, party over. And turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. So we did. And then, again, monitor the temperature.
And my ultimate suspicion on why there was that one gray spot, I just tell you, I think the cat used it as a litter box.
Oh, great. That's why we use a shovel, huh?
Does it make sense right there? Because that was that one spot that
You
overheated.
know what? It's totally possible. It's right on the edge.
Right, and
Oh,
it added
God.
that extra moisture, and that's why it overheated. That's why the rest of the pile was totally fine, but that one spot was off. And
Drink.
okay, I'm not gonna tell Steve that yet. He can watch the office hours and find out about this.
It's sure. It's possible. In fact, I was wondering why they don't use it as a litter box.
They do when you're not looking. But when it's hot, they're skeptical of it. But as it starts to cool down, which it was starting to cool down, guess what? That was like, that is the
my
cheap spot.
gosh.
Plus, it was also raining that night, and the cat's like, you know what? This spot looks pretty good.
This'll work.
Right? We got two barn cats. We got Stealth Ninja and Karen, which is kill a rat every night. It's just an acronym name for her. And they're great cats. They kept all the mice away. I didn't see a single mouse.
Nope.
No mouse activity. Usually when prior to the cats, I'd go up there to turn the pile. I'd pull the cover off, and there'd be 4 or 5 little mice there sauning,
Yeah.
also adding moisture to the pile. But no mice this time.
It's a little more scientific now.
So it's your trade-offs, right? Everything. Steve keeps saying everything has an opportunity cost. And in this case, we got that one. And so you also, I was talking about science for the IMOs here. Also the smell. Can you describe the difference between the MacNut pile and the horse food substrate pile?
Well, I'll tell you what your wife said. Suze, when she was up there, she came up for a visit. She came up for a visit, and we were turning actually when she came up, and she goes, "Oh my God, it smells like the best nut loaf." That's what she said about the macadamia nut one. And the other one, I don't know how to describe, smell so much. I just smell sweet, like a bakery. I mean, that's what I would say. It smells like a bakery.
Yeah, early stages for sure. And then now, do you notice it's sort of kind of changing?
Oh yeah, it's not as sweet. It just doesn't even smell as much, is what I would say.
And I would relate that directly to, as the pile starts to dry out, the metabolic activity is slowing, hence the temperature's dropping. And the smell is now sort of getting a little bit more foresty.
Definitely more foresty. In fact, didn't I even use that word? I think I did. I said it smelled more foresty when I turned it yesterday. I did it this morning again at 6. And, it's fine. It's right at 120, 118. Turned it and got it down to 95. I'm always like, yes. And I tell you, it's good workout too, that big pile, that snow shovel. We don't have snow in Hawaii, but we have IMOs. You can build your snow shoveling muscles. Yeah. But yeah, it smells good.
And were you surprised? Sometimes we were up there at the barn, so we would flip it, maybe stack it a little bit higher while we were there. Were you surprised how quickly the temperature rose at some points?
You mean when I went back up? Or what do you mean?
No, like we're up there, and then all of a sudden, we put the temperature in. It's like, okay, we got it down to 100, 110. And then all of a sudden we're leaving, it's 120.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's cooking. It was cooking in the beginning. And so sometimes we had to turn it twice.
While we were up there, or even just twice in one session, right?
Yep.
Because each time we're lowering the pile about 10 degrees when we're turning it. We're also getting that air in there, which helps keep it good.
Yeah. Well, we also left it uncovered while we were up there. And we were doing, we were up there for 3 or 4 hours at a pop, making all kinds of stuff, having our fun up there. And it changed for sure. You just watch it right there. Changing. Yeah.
Cool. And then, last night we kind of had a good thing happen. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, you organized it. So.
Well, yeah, it was so precious. I don't know how many of you have had the really amazing opportunity to meet Dr. Park. But I said to Drake, hey, that was a few weeks ago. I said, gosh, what if we invite him for our dinner, our last night dinner kind of thing? And he said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we called Dr. Park and he showed up last night. And he's just so amazing. He just exudes love. And he's so, I will say, proud of Drake. So because Drake's doing, Dr. Park was the first person to take Drake to Korea. He arranged the trip. And then did he go every single time you were there, pretty much? Every time you went to Korea? I mean, he was the translator.
Yeah, except for my last trip in 2019 or 2018, 2019 when we went to Muju and we studied with Master Lee. But every other trip, Dr. Park was there.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Park is a pediatrician. He's not a farmer. His whole thing was seeing the sick kids. The kids are sick. Why are the kids sick? It's because of what they're eating. They're not eating nutritious food. They're eating an apple that doesn't have any nutrition, or worse yet. And so he got on the real passion of wanting to make a difference in the quality of our food. And he saw it in Korea, and then knew Master Cho and was able to take many groups to Korea, and many people were exposed to this knowledge, and Drake was able to make amazing videos, like hundreds of them, so many videos, just precious knowledge, and to be able to see how it's done in Korea, first class in Korea, and bring that back with him. And it just really inspired Drake to be who he is today, and have him have the passion of wanting to teach. And one of the things that Drake talked about yesterday, segueing a little bit, was the exponential theory of where natural farming is now. Natural farming is taking off it's such a gradual takeoff. And that what will happen, we know will happen, is at some point it's just going to shift and it's going to click, and here goes natural farming, because it's the solution, it's the answer. And that also gives all of us hope. We just keep practicing, we keep telling people, we teach as much as we can, and it's a way to, save our world. I feel for sure, save our oceans, and our land. So Dr. Park is just, what a sweetheart. Gosh.
Yeah, it's nice he was here, because he's really the reason that I even know about natural farming. I mean, it was occurring in Korea, right, since the 60s. 1967, I think, was when Master Cho got, established and did his things and learned from Japan and started getting that established in Korea. But the whole reason Hawaii knows, the whole reason I would say the West knows about this, and there may have been other people and other things, but I think pretty much everyone, even you guys here tuned in, can trace your lineage directly through Dr. Park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just this humble, caring, loving dude.
Humble.
And and he has I try to, one of the things that when I see him, because as you get old, he's quite elderly at this point. I think he's probably 80 something. I don't know. I didn't ask him.
I think he's close to 90.
Okay, yeah, he's old.
Mm-hmm.
He's old.
Yeah.
But is that sometimes I feel like sometimes you don't know your impact. You don't know you're just trying your best every moment, everything, and I just try to reiterate to him, Dr. Park, man, I don't know where I'd be without you, and how many thousands of people have you taught? How many, hundreds of lives, millions of lives have you touched? Trillions of lives if you count all the microbes, right? Mm-hmm. Have you made an impact and made life better? And not only being a pediatrician in Hilo, and one of the few people that would see people that were poor, that were on welfare. Like he was the only doctor, the only pediatrician that would see these people, because everyone else was like, they wanted the insurance money from this. And Dr. Park last night, he almost cried when he was talking about how he would see the poorest patients because he was poor. And if you eventually here we're putting together a documentary through the Pure KNF Foundation, but we'll release his story. But I mean, he basically, the tragedy of the Korean War and the famine that he experienced, and the fact that he orphaned himself to it just, and you see him tear up as he talks about this, that he knows true poverty, true war, the tragedies, and that, so I always try to tell him, man, look, man, thank God you survived through everything. Thank God you're still here. And thank God for that, I somehow, for this moment in life, you made just such a pivotal impact in my life. And then I was reflecting after, with you guys on the couches after, I was just like, look, I got to live up to his legacy, right? When you meet a man like that, you see it, and you see what he did. It's like, because we asked the question, it's like, okay, you've taught natural farming to thousands of people, Dr. Park. How many of them do you think are still doing natural farming?
That's right.
He was like, I don't know. But, if you can reach, when he gave that to me, I saw what he was giving. I saw what he was putting out there. And I was like, it's not just some other thing that I'm going to put it, learn and then file on my shelf and put away. Like, this is my life's mission. Like, I saw the importance of this. I see the drive. I see the thing. And it's like, how many people come learn, and then it's like, bruh, teach. Go out, do. This is the most important thing for yourself, for everyone, and do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for God. Do it for Dr. Park. If you meet that man, you'd be like, wow, like it's like a a flame under you to like get out there, teach, spread, do it, help the food get better, help families get better. And for me, I just, when seeing his wife, just how happy they are, being that the life of service like that. When I see Dr. Park, sure, he's made money. He's a doctor. He did a lot of, it's not like he had to put himself into abject poverty to make a difference by being of service. But every moment of that man's life, he's in service.
Still is.
Still is.
Still is.
So he just sold his land in Kaiviki, 10 acres, and bought 6 acres in out Punaside, like Kurtistown area, so that he could give the land to his pastor, so his pastor could farm the land and live there, so he could farm, so he can send his kids to college.
Oh.
Talk about somebody who's like selfless, like here's an investment, I'm gonna sell this one, buy this one, give it to my pastor so he can farm, so he can help his children. Like, who does that?
Yeah it's so selfless. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely an inspiration for everybody. And his IMO too. His IMO machine, when he brought that, he made that so people could, next best thing, was great.
No, and he tries so hard. What is the IMO machine doing today? It's sitting someplace rotting because we couldn't get a boiler because of regulations. It's like, but he just tries and tries and tries and tries and tries and tries, and there's so many hurdles, but he just keeps going.
Doesn't give up.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for bringing him last night, having the forethought to bring him over.
Yeah. Well, let's do it again. I mean, he loved coming too. Your class in January, let's invite him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's old. You gotta, I was walking him down to his car, holding his hand, so he's, because it's kind of dark here, and that, even though we put in good lighting. And then small update on Master Cho. I got to talk with Dr. Park about Master Cho. he said that basically right now Mrs. Cho is kind of blocking all communication. Master Cho is in a old people's home, retirement home. I don't know. I want to say the correct word for that, but basically, living assisted living kind of home. Ju Young still unaccounted for. Young Song apparently working with some marijuana farmers, and his other daughter, Master Cho's other daughter, not in communication, not help, And so I just hope the best for Master Cho. Even Dr. Park hasn't been able to contact him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of unknowns on a lot of things. Dr. Park was obviously a little concerned, but I just wish the best for all this lineage. I kind of feel this, the torch is definitely passing as these old folks go out, and my goal is to have them be happy with how, and we, us, all of us are carrying forward with this mission. Because they're, they don't have that capability anymore, and it's on us, and who's going to be the next one to rise up to be, the next Master Cho, the next Dr. Park, and keep this alive.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's obviously, one of us, either that or it dies, and, going through doing that, it's quite it's a joyous thing, and then it's also like service, and then it's also one of the most rewarding through just giving up any other type of idea of ego gratification type of reward, and more of like just got to do the right thing. And there's ego gratification. I mean, I look at last night, Susan and I walked down to the driveway to open the gate for Dr. Park to make it easier for him. And I looked over at Susan and I said, I hope we're old like that one day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Happy couple. And that some young person invites me to come to their thing.
To their dinner. Yeah.
And I'm like, and someone else is carrying this at that point, and that, we're just like old, happy, telling some stories, learning how Dr. Park and Mrs. Park met each other. Dr. Park's stomach exploded, and Mrs. Park was his nurse, and he asked the other nurse, "Hey, is she single?" She was like, "Yeah, you guys want to meet up?" He was like, "Yeah," and she was like. She looked at him and she had just such compassion because his stomach just exploded. They had just survived through the Korean War, and they had a similar interest to want to come to America and make a living. And they did, and they moved to Hilo, and they have made... Dr. Park was telling me last night, he'll walk into the Walmart, because he worked with a lot of lower income people. So Walmart, you connect the dots yourself. But everyone in Walmart's like, Dr. Park. Everyone recognizes him. Everyone knows. And what a more rewarding thing to be an elderly person, be cruising through life and have those recognitions and love.
Yeah. He has a true legacy. He really made a difference. Still making a difference. And that's why I feel I got to make my own difference. I have this knowledge. I got to do something with it. I do. I have to.
No, and you are, and also I always tell folks that you are the most accomplished yogi on this island that's not in hiding.
That's not in hiding.
There may be someone in a cave somewhere that knows more than you, but you're the only person that's like available, that's out, that's sharing, that's doing, that's
my passion.
Yeah. That's living this truth, living this and sharing. And isn't it rewarding?
Oh, yes, because really, whatever purpose is in life, when you find that and throw yourself at it and do your best to, I'm not going to say I'm a master because I'm not. I still have so far to go. But I've spent 25 years studying it and practicing it. That then when you can share that with other people, as much as you've studied natural farming, it becomes a part of you. It's not just a book. It's not something you read. It's who you are. And when you can transmit that to other people, it can really change lives and for the better. And when you do that, you feel like you made a difference also in the world. And it's incredibly rewarding. Very, very rewarding. Yeah. So I love what I do, and it's 100% in line with natural farming. Natural farming is 100% in line with yoga. Balance, hello, that's what yoga is, So, yeah, I feel really lucky to have these two practices in my life. And so thank you for being my teacher.
Oh, well. Thank you so much. And up here, just we got some comments here, just about to wrap things up. But I just read a couple of these because I did see them come in as we were talking. And sorry, I ignored all the rest of the questions that did come in because But we'll maybe get to them. There's one about we'll answer this one quickly. But how do you do natural farming if you're diabetic? What would you say?
You mean?
Like some of the solutions have so much sugar in them.
Oh, so and you're wanting to take them as a person?
Yeah,
natural farming you think of as you're doing it for plants. Oops, you think you're doing it for plants. So if you're going to take it, my personal opinion is that it's your intention. It's your intention behind it. If you think it's medicine, and we know it's medicine, if that's truly what you're after is the benefits of that solution, the sugar is incidental. That's my opinion.
And probably just dilute it more, right? Mm-hmm. So you're still getting those, like if you're going to do the food or the fuel or any of these things that have extreme health benefits when you consume them as a person, just dilute them more so that you're not making your, causing issue, because obviously there is some sugar, but there's sugar in every food you eat. Yeah. Besides like Diet Coke, which then that has its own side effects, right?
Yeah. But the other thing is if you do protein with it, whenever you have a sugar type of thing, if you have some protein with it, it won't spike your blood sugar as much.
That's something I didn't know. So maybe include fish amino acid in every one you're going to do. Put a little fuel in there with all the foods.
Yeah.
Maybe that super available amino acids, proteins may counteract this.
Yeah.
You may be onto something that is beyond, why, if you truly mix these solutions up the way they're recommended, that now you're not causing diabetes in a person or the plants. And we don't often think of our plants having diabetes, but surely they could. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. And then here, just a few things, it's saying, hello, Drake's mom. I'm a firm believer and the creator sends a few people here to point the rest of us in the right direction. You gave birth to one of those few.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Oh, it's, I can tell you, Drake used to do a monthly natural farming meeting, and I would go to a lot of them because I was interested in natural farming. I was doing it a little bit. And very often people would come up to me, particularly gentlemen would come up to me and they'd say, wow, how did you raise such a fine young man? And I would say, I let him be who he is. That's what I would say. I let him be who he is. And yes, I do feel like, thank you, Drake. I mean, I'm really, really proud to have him as my son. I'm proud to have him as a leader in natural farming and really, really appreciate everything you're doing for the world. Yeah. Make me cry.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, yeah. It's a team effort, let me tell you. And also, Jonathan is saying, Bird has soothing vocals. Levels are good.
Oh, good.
You got a good radio voice,
That's,
Mom.
you know, well,
Making it.
actually, I've been asked to make commercials. I'm not kidding. That's from years of teaching yoga and learning how to, well, if you teach a good class and you want people to come back, you can't yell at them.
Gotta soothe him. Gotta tell him.
Yeah, you got to be soothing.
Yes, you will come back to the class. The donation button's right there. Yeah, no. Okay, and then coming through. Oh, we got William in the house from Ghana. Hey, man, check this out. We're making a worldwide impact right now. How cool is
Yeah.
that? Yeah. So thoughts on KNF for diabetics? Okay. Mitchell's saying what's up to you. And then let's see. Got Marty up in Illinois. What's going on? We covered that. Just going through here. And then Marty here was saying, so cool, your mom's taking the class, role reversal, child teaching the parent. Love how excited mom is about the class, then planning to teach. For next week, can you share the new calf with the mom? So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have a great video we can share right after birth. We'll share that next week.
yeah, hey, cool. And we got Senegal in the house and Cheryl. What's up with the
Cheryl.
super chats?
Hi, Cheryl. Long time no see. Come back and visit.
Yeah. So and then Lone Star Larf, yeah, Mama Drake, some hello there. So thanks. We're resuming class again at 10:30 here. It's 10:07. Getting up. And Mitchell's sitting there with his little girl, so he's having some family time too. Generational natural farming. It's always cool when you can share something multi-generational. And just one last little closing thing that I found is I found that the Korean natural farming is probably one of the most multi-generational unifying things that I've seen. We go to when my mom mentioned the natural farming meeting, and it's like, I was, when I was doing that, I was like in my 20s, and early 30s, getting old now. But then there's guys like Dr. Park there that were in their 70s. And then there's people in their 50s, 40s, 30s. Sometimes the people would bring infants. Sometimes there were young children. It was like, what other thing do you go to where it's so multi-generational, so many people coming together, so unifying, so, just beautiful, building family, building relationships. And that was actually the one, I said that's the final thing, but one other thing that for me was one of the biggest highlights of this class is the relationships that are built here. I've known my mom since birth, pretty much. Maybe prior to birth, I'm not sure. I don't really remember that, but I'm sure she does. But just even this, like, I feel like our relationship even more, rooted. My relationship with Steve, even more rooted, right? We've got into some heady conversations. So next week, maybe I'll drop some highlights of what I talk with Steve, because we got deep into some stuff and mind blowing. But just, natural farming, like you said, is about forging these relationships. Relationship with the earth, relationship with the plants, relationship with the, just so many. And this class, just farming this. So again, I just want to reiterate to you, I'm so thankful that you're here, that you're receptive to this, that you took this, learned so well, that it made a difference in your life, that, it's going to continue, that now you got this teaching opportunity. Now you can share, just so many benefits out of this. I just can't say enough. And you've always been a huge supporter of this here. If you notice, sometimes you'll see Bird in the chat, super chatting, throwing, support this way monetarily, just loving natural farming. And I just can't, I guess I can thank you enough, but it's never enough of what I can physically say. So I just, I love you, Mom.
I love you.
So I'm going to go over to this here, the end screen here, and let's make a little heart. put it up high so people can see. Is this heart sufficient? You guys can see this heart. Does it look like a heart? Let's make it look like a heart. More yeah. Okay. So this is our heart. Put your head in there. Okay. And then I'm gonna click goodbye. So I'll see you next week.
Aloha.
Yeah. Hey,